Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Strawberry Hill Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Simmons, and we are here at the Shop Cigar Lounge down in Strawberry Hill. Before we get started, I want you guys to make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and make sure you follow us on all our platforms. And today, I am super excited because we have the coach on today. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. How you doing, baby?
I am good. I'm good.
That's great.
I'm so glad that you took some time off from your schedule, from OTAs and mini camp. You guys came down here and
Yeah, it's great timing. We just finished up OTAs, and man, when I saw that you reached out, I said, "Let's do it, baby." Man, this is a special place here.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, we need to get you a celebratory cigar next time you win the Super Bowl, right?
Hey, I'll take a celebratory cheeseburger with that,
Yeah,
too.
there we go. So tell me how's the off season treating you?
It's great. I've been able to get out, get a little barbecue. Been traveling a little bit, but we've been really focused on a three-peat. That's something no NFL teams ever had the opportunity to do before.
Yeah, I see you got the rings on and everything.
I got the rings. That's right. There's plenty of room for more. And everybody always asks me what my favorite ring is. I always tell them the next one.
Yes. All right, now I got to ask you a question. Who's your favorite player?
Wow. Now, that's a tough one because, we've got a sign in the locker room that says you come in as players and you leave as family. Mm-hmm. And so that'd be like choosing a favorite kid. I think they know who they are, but man, they take that freaking literally when I go in there, man. They'll come up, ask me for some advice and ask me for $20 for gas. I'm like, guys, what the heck, you guys are millionaires. What are you doing? And,
You're like a father figure, so they got to try to get a little bit off dad.
That's right, man. Well, you know what? That's how the way we what makes us successful here in Kansas City. We are a big family.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you are confused, like most people, you're like, is that really Andy Reid? We almost got you. Don't worry. We got the Almost Andy Reid on the show, which I am still as excited to have him on because I'm not going to lie. When you walked in the car, for a second, I was just like, is that really him? You guys looked exactly alike.
I may have had a few more cheeseburgers than Coach.
I don't know. So how's everything been, man?
It's been great. I'm telling you what, being a fan, as long as I've been a fan here in Kansas City, I was sitting down with Coach a couple of weeks ago. We had a chance to talk with each other. And I told him, man, to be a fan like I've been, I mean, when I'm a kid, you can't find me without a jersey or something on. And to be able to take it to another level with this, man, I love the Kansas City Chiefs. And I am so happy to be a part and to be actually included into like the super fan ring of friends, man. It's a beautiful thing.
I think you're almost more than a super fan. You're just kind of like, you're a part of it now because you like literally like you it's almost like you go everywhere with the team now. So it's almost like you're a part of the team.
Well, I sure would like to get that ring. That part I'd like a lot.
Yes. I saw they spent, I think, $28,000 on each
million.
ring. Oh, $28 million. Yeah. And I don't know how much that costs for each ring.
I'm telling you what. Yeah. They sure do have a good organization, and they sure take care of their people really well. I mean,
Tell me, are you like born and raised in Kansas City?
So no, I was born in Warren, Ohio. Not too far from Cleveland, the Youngstown area. Maybe you've heard of Youngstown.
A lot of the athletes came from Youngstown.
Yeah, a lot of athletes. And so when I was 12 years old, my family, we moved out here to Missouri. But the funny thing is I was already a Chiefs and Royals fan before we even moved.
Oh, were you really?
Thanks to my love for cheeseburgers and my love for the big golden arches. Yeah, man. Because when I was a kid, they put out a series. I think it was a 3-book series of Super Bowl books.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, they weren't very thick or something, but they were great for a kid to look at. Of course, I still read books for the pictures. I'm not going to lie. But they had a lot of cool pictures in there. And the first one had two Kansas City Chiefs teams in there. And I'm like, yeah, I like those guys. They're pretty cool. I saw the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm like, I like those Chiefs.
You beat the Vikings in Super Bowl 4.
So that's I was already a fan before I even knew that I'd be living here.
So you've been a fan before you moved here, then you moved here.
Yeah.
And then I guess, did you go to a lot of games growing up? Or
I used to go to games back in the 80s when there were 17,000 people in the stands.
Yeah.
And like I said, I had a conversation with Coach. I was telling him how I used to love getting tickets in the upper deck because my favorite thing when I was young was to watch the punters. And so I always wanted to judge how high that ball would go up in the hang time. And so, man, I just loved sitting in the upper deck to watch the punters.
Yeah.
But then as I got a little older, I liked sitting down a little closer so I could see the cheerleaders.
Well, the whole punter thing, did you ever tell Andy that? I know you've probably seen the punt, pass, and kick.
Oh, yeah.
Him.
Yeah.
Now, that would be a funny little commercial if you reenacted that.
That would be,
you were in his little uniform. And
because
he's clearly like.
It would be a little uniform if I was in it. It's funny because I always was the quarterback in all of the neighborhood football games, and I was the punter. In fact, I was a backup punter for my high school football team, but they always said I was too fat to be the quarterback in the high school football. And I'm like, gosh, I can throw the ball 50, 60 yards, in high school. I had a great arm. And my brothers did too. I guess it was just a genetic thing. So I can believe that Coach did pretty doggone well with that, because we have some of the same structural features in our bodies, and so we both played linemen. And so
did you play football in college at all? Or
I did not play football in college because I ended up being a musician.
Did you really?
Yeah, I probably could have made a little bit more money playing football nowadays than I could have been being a musician. But my high school football team, we were on the David Letterman show.
Really?
We were actually quite famous. Yes, actually, we were. Senior.
Wait. Why were you on the David Letterman show?
Well, my junior year, I varsity lettered in football, and we didn't win many games. And so I decided, the band director came up to me and said, "Hey, listen, I'm going to give you a solo. You come play in the band and forget about football this year. Just come play in the band." And I said, we're not a very good team, but I am a pretty good trombonist. And so I said, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Oh, he was slick. He gets me out there on the field for homecoming, and I had to play Come In From the Rain, 20 times on my trombone while all of the court warming people came in onto the field. But so my senior year, we lost the last 3 games of the season. And, I enjoyed football, but the coaches, I just, they were older and not wiser. But we went on the longest losing streak in the country. Oh, wow. We ended up losing 36 games in a row. So, like Buddy Biancalana, when the Royals won, having him on the Letterman show, Letterman thought that was pretty funny. So, Well,
that's cool. So you got on the limelight even before.
Yeah, right. And in fact, if you look at my senior or my junior picture in my pads and things, and you look at Coach in his black and white picture, we look even similar in the pads. So it's just weird.
So I guess I'm going to go back to when Andy Reid gets hired, and this is after after Romeo Cornell and Matt Castle, and kind of the rough years for us Chiefs fans. And he gets hired. We're all super excited. I guess, did you kind of was there already a resemblance before?
Never even thought of it. Never occurred to me that I looked similar to Coach. All I know is, as a Chiefs fan and going through what we went through in the 90s and going to playoffs and not being able to really get any further. I mean, let me tell you, the games were exciting in the 90s. That era of football.
The Marty Ball. Yeah.
That was exciting. That stadium, sorry to say it, but it was louder then than it is now.
Yeah.
And I was with Neil Smith this last weekend, and I asked him that question. I said, Neil, I need you to confirm this for me because I was at those games, and it was louder in the 90s than it is now. And he goes, oh, heck yeah. Yeah, it really was.
I believe it.
He said he was sitting there next to, or out in the field next to Dan Saliamua, and they had hand signals. They couldn't hear each other standing next to each other out on the field.
Jeez.
And I believe it because I'd go home and I couldn't hear a thing. My ears would be ringing, be like you were at the loudest rock concert in your life. And so what were we talking about?
No, you're all good.
I'm old. I'm so sorry.
So, no, I was talking about when Andy got here.
Yeah,
and then just the resemblance that you guys definitely have. But like,
oh, my gosh.
Was it like when he first came here, someone was like, oh, you look like Andy, or was it just?
No, not at all. In fact, I was so thrilled when he came here. Now, he was a lot bigger guy when he was with the Eagles, and I wasn't this big. I mean, so since he came here, how this kind of got started was my wife had gotten us tickets to a Halloween ball out in Liberty. There's a haunted mansion type thing out there. And so I said, I'm too cheap. I'm not going to go out and buy a Halloween costume. I mean, I've got a closet full of Chiefs gear. I said, I'm just going to go as a Chiefs fan. So I had a big goatee because I'm a professional opera singer. And
we definitely got to get into that
so
too.
I kind of looked at into the mirror, and I left the mustache for some reason. I don't know why I did it, but I did. I looked into the mirror, and I'm like, holy cow. I could probably pull off an Andy Reid at this thing. And so I went out down to a local sports location, bought a thing like this off of the sale rack. It was like $20. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. I had this old headset from work down in my downstairs in a bucket or something, and I put it all together, put a clipboard and some plays on it, and went out to this thing, and all of a sudden people wanted to take their pictures with me, and they were like going crazy. And I kind of thought, wow, okay, this is interesting. So then Halloween came up, and I did the same thing. I live in a neighborhood where there's some football players that live there, and I go walking down the street, and somebody's yelling, "Coach, Coach!" And it was Bill Moss. And he had me come over and take pictures with him, and he was like, this is amazing. And so I started to kind of like believe a little bit, but it really wasn't until 2019 when I was down in Wichita working for my company, and somebody called me up and said, hey, they called my wife actually and said, hey, they're having an Andy Reid lookalike contest up at training camp. You need to get up there. It's tonight. So I hop in the vehicle, I run home, get my gear, roll up to training camp, and I even had my I have some red Kobe's, red and yellow Kobe's.
Do you
and
really?
So I put those on, and don't tell my brother. No. He gave them as a gift to my dad, and my dad gifted them to me after that. Sorry, brother. No. He asked me about that later. How'd you get those shoes?
I have no idea.
Anyhow, so I get up there and I win the contest, and I win a pair of tickets.
You win the contest.
I win the pair of tickets to the game, to a preseason game. And it just kind of all started. And then when COVID hit, I had all that free time at home, and I decided, well, I'm going to learn social media and see if I can do something with this. I only had a few thousand followers at that time. And now on TikTok, I've got 540,000 followers. And 14,000 on Instagram. So, I mean, overall, I've probably got over 600,000 followers. And it's just been an amazing journey so far. And I try and keep everything very positive, very motivated towards Kansas City, towards small businesses, towards the Kansas City Chiefs, because I think Kansas City is just an outstanding place to live. Wherever you're at, you can always find negative things some places, but man, our small businesses that make specialty foods, man, we've got some of the best in the country. I'm sorry. They're just a great place to live, a great place to be.
Have you had the barbecue around here?
Yeah.
You had slaps down the street?
I have not had slaps because I just kind of make things happen organically. And I never knew where Slaps was. So you say it's down the street?
It's just right down the street.
Okay, I might hit it on the way home.
I'm sure if you just walk in, they'll be like, "Oh, Coach, here's some food."
If I go home smelling like barbecue, I'm going to get slapped when I walk through the door. So I better bring some home with slaps, me, I guess. Huh? Maybe that's why they call it Slaps. Where have you been? And you didn't bring me any?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I love the barbecue in Kansas City. I like to eat where the locals eat.
Yep.
So where the out-of-towners come and get all the recommendations, those aren't my favorite places, some of them. But every place has its little specialty niche that it does.
Yeah.
Joe's has ribs that they're really good. They got the Z-Man. But I like Zarda's sandwiches a little bit better.
Good, yeah.
They make some great. That KC takeaway was an amazing sandwich, and I'd take that over the other sandwich in town any day. And then you've got Gates, which is just an atmosphere, and they've got some great different things that they do. My favorite is Arthur Bryant's. That may change someday. Yeah. I don't know.
It might change when you go to Slaps.
But man, I'll tell you, when you go down to Arthur Bryant's on a Sunday afternoon and you got to go around the corner waiting in line, you know that's going to be some good barbecue there. And I happen to like, since I'm from the East, I happen to like the more vinegary sauce that they have there. That's just my own preference.
Yeah.
But man, every place has got something special. I just had Q39.
Yeah.
And their brisket.
Oh, so you're making your
phenomenal,
way through all the good ones.
I think I could make better beans than them, but their brisket's pretty good.
So tell me, I guess, when was the point when kind of everything took off? Like you said COVID was kind of the year where
it was
you were
really 2022-ish when I went down to the Super Bowl for the first time. The first Super Bowl when we were in Miami. I wanted to go down, but I wanted to be with my kids because that was going to be a special memory. I had a pretty good feeling that we were going to win that Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes. And I just wanted to celebrate that with my kids like I've done with the Royals championships and such. And so for the Tampa Super Bowl, I decided to go down to Tampa.
That was a tough one.
And, that was a tough one. But all of a sudden, I started getting requests. Hey, can you come to my party? Hey, can you come to my company and visit the employees and dress as coach? And it's just been a great experience. Since then, I've had the opportunity to do TV commercials, radio commercials. I'm now doing for a garage door company here in town for Renner Garage Door, and they're just fantastic people, and they do a great job. A lot of good garage door companies in town. But I was nominated for an Emmy.
Were you really?
For some work that I did with a local TV station here.
How cool is that?
And so being a professional opera singer, I thought maybe one day I'd get nominated for a Grammy, but I never expected an Emmy. It's just been the coolest thing. And the super fans here in Kansas City, they've been so welcoming. I've been able to do some things with them. And Weird Wolf, he's one of my favorite people here in town. Just absolutely love him. And there's just such a great group of people that just absolutely love to their core the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
And I happen to be one of those.
Yeah, no, that I always tell people, like, Kansas City is such a big little city.
Yeah.
And it's full of, like, civic pride.
Yeah.
Like we look like tourists walking around here because all we're wearing is Royals, Chiefs, or the Charlie Hustle KC shirts. It's like that's all people wear around here.
That's right. We
so
love our city,
and
we love the people here. And like I said, every city's got their issues, but I think as a whole, we're pretty good people.
Yeah, yeah. So you've been to a lot of places since you kind of blew up. I guess what's been your favorite so far? What favorite place to go? I guess the Super Bowl's got to be up there.
Super Bowl's pretty cool, but man, I'll tell you what, that's an effort.
Yes.
Last Super Bowl down in Vegas, they had to have NFL security help me around.
Really? Well,
Because
I bet because
I was clogging up the hallways. people with pictures, and 60, 70 people were surrounding me with cameras. And so the NFL, they're pretty smart about all of that. And whenever a big super fan's around, they help out if they see that there's some help that needs to happen. Let's see. What are some of the most favorite things? It's really, really hard for me to choose what that is, because every moment is a blessing to me in life. And so anytime I get an opportunity to meet people, to eat something, to make people laugh, it's just a great time for me as well. That's what I'm all about. So, it's hard for me to pick one.
No, you're fine.
Probably I'd say the Miami game at 30 some degrees below zero, sitting there. And I happened to be in a suite, thanks to some good friends of mine, for that one.
So your mustache wasn't frozen like
no,
Coach's?
I've got a funny story about that. But, to sit there and you're in a suite and you're watching everybody in the suites with the binoculars looking down at Taylor Swift's suite and not really paying attention to the game, because her windows kept freezing over and they had people in there wiping them down constantly. It was so funny to watch. But let me tell you, after that game, because my body hadn't adjusted to the cold, that walk back to the car was one of the most horrifying experiences of my life. Yeah, that wind, oh man, it just cut through you. Yeah. That was great. But, every experience has its own special moment. And so it's hard for me to choose one. Maybe some of the commercials that I've had an opportunity to do, those have been pretty special.
So have you got to meet Taylor yet?
I have not. And, I like to let things happen organically. People always ask me the question, have you met Coach? And for years I said, no. I said, when that opportunity presents itself, it'll happen. I'm not going to be one of those guys that go out there and get myself in a certain position or place or, just to meet him. Because I respect him too much. I respect people and their time a little bit, too much. And so, it finally did happen. And when it did, it was a very special moment.
You got to tell me about that, because I couldn't imagine if I met someone that is my doppelganger, just like to a T. Like, what was Coach's reaction to that?
So, when you meet him, I got to tell you, he feels like a regular person, a regular guy that you would meet out on, and talk to. And so the first thing he says when he sees me, because this shows you what a study he is of everybody who he's around and everything he does. He's such a study of all of that. And he goes, "Are you going to sing for us?" And I thought, man, he knows that I sing. Yeah. Wow, how cool is that? So, we kept every time, I'd see him, I was helping out on a commercial with him, and he'd come in and we'd fist bump, and I'd go out and he'd come in and eat all the cheeseburgers or something, and I'd go back out. And it's just been a fun experience.
Yeah. So we were talking before this about the commercials. Yeah. And so you've done quite a bit of commercials. Yeah. And are you doing them are you kind of following where Coach goes? They kind of just bring you in with them?
I've been really blessed that the folks in town who have the casting agencies, and I've had some good help with, just as far as talent agencies, reach out to me and help me out. And now I'm signed on with a talent agency, Moxie Talent Agency. And it's just been a blessing, because they've all been so nice to me, and they like, I guess, having me around. And so when he does something, often I'll have the opportunity to be there as well.
So are you kind of like his body double?
I think you might call that.
Cool.
I'm a little bigger in the belly area, but everywhere else we're pretty similar.
You should say you're like a stunt double, just in case.
Right.
We need to get him in an action movie.
I know, except for he keeps getting to eat all the Snickers bars and all the cheeseburgers, and I have to watch him do it.
And then you're saying that, even in the commercials, like the State Farm commercials and stuff like that. Yeah. Like when they do the food, they're making a lot of food just for one take.
Yeah, man.
Time.
So you saw Coach just recently talking about the fact that he ate 60 cheeseburgers. And everybody in the country's calling, no way. There's no way he did that. Well, I'm telling you, I happened to sit there. It was a really hot day that day. And I watched this artist. I mean, she was an artist. They would cook the hamburgers up, and she had like a jewel piece on, like a jeweler would look for the fine diamonds,
Oh, wow. Well, like a magnifying glass and everything?
And she was building each one of these cheeseburgers with such care and such precision because, you know, when you're on a TV and you've got take after take after take, you know, and so every time they would do a new take, they would break a new cheeseburger. And so I knew something was going on with those cheeseburgers. You know, they kept coming back. So I figured somebody was eating them. And so he says he didn't use the old spit bucket, you know, because he loves cheeseburgers as much as I do. And so I believe him when he says that.
Yeah, took a bite out of every single cheeseburger.
I believe it, man.
That's a lot.
Oh, yeah. I didn't get to see it, but I saw those cheeseburgers get made. And, man, I'm telling you what, that was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I take it you've met Pat then.
Well, I mean, I've met him.
I'm just wondering if he like you coach.
Yeah. He's pretty funny. First time I saw him was when we were doing that commercial together, that first one 2 years ago. And I saw him whispering to, you know, Jake from State Farm, and they were looking at me and laughing, and I knew exactly what they were talking about, you know, because he was pointing over at me, and he fist bumped me, which I'm like, I'm never washing his hand again.
I can now throw 70 yards with this thing.
That's right. And I'm like, man, these guys are something else, you know. You don't get to see him too much behind the scene because, I mean, he really is a family guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just every time that I've been around him or anybody else that's been in that particular genre, it's just always been so nice. I haven't met anybody that I wouldn't want to sit down and eat a cheeseburger with.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
All right. So now I got to go back because you've mentioned a couple of times opera singer. You were
No, I still am.
I've
got a couple of contracts this season with the Lyric Opera here at Kansas City. And you know, I'm a white knuckle performer. And so I get pretty nervous before I sing. So I enjoy singing with the chorus or something, even though I've done leading roles in over 30 operas myself. And I've done a couple of small principal roles with the Lyric Opera. But I enjoy singing with the chorus here. In fact, you know, just like I do with Andy, I'm one of those people that love to turn heads. And so when the principals are all sitting there every once in a while, you know, I'll put out a note or something and you'll see them go, whew, what was that? And,
is it like the deep, deep note?
No, I'm a baritone. So, you know, I always play the bad guy sometimes in some of these operas, and you know the tenor always gets the girl, and then she kills him or something, you know. But so you know, there's a couple of us here in Kansas City. I got to tell you, some of the best chorus people and singers. This town is loaded with them, and I am so blessed to be able to sing with them with the Lyric Opera. And they've always, even before I was doing Andy, they've always just been a great group to work with. And I encourage you, get out and see some opera. Even Andy Reid told me, he says, I've gone to several of the operas. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. Go out and see an opera. They're fun. They're incredible.
Okay. Now I got to ask, can you do just one quick note?
Yeah. You know. I mean, that's a familiar one, you know, because that's from The Barber of Seville, which the Lyric Opera of Kansas City is going to be performing in this year. And I'm in the chorus for that. And so, it's exciting. I love to sing. I've always had a big mouth. And that was probably one of the harder things for me to do, was to start to develop this voice of coach. Because, you know, when you're an opera singer, you know, you've got this nice, clear, it's like an athlete, you know, it's musculature that's in there that you're training up. And I told Coach when we sat down, I said, you know what, since I've been kind of watching you and listening how you do your voice, I've become a better opera singer, because back in the day, opera singers used to season their voices by smoking cigars or smoking cigarettes or drinking whiskey. I mean, that was normal.
That's how I got to get opera singers in here.
Yeah,
now.
that was a normal thing. And nowadays they don't do it. They're all vegans, and, everybody's a tenor or, but, so this has seasoned my voice a little bit. Now I feel like I'm singing better than I've ever sung in my life, So again, another way that this has blessed me.
So how long have you been singing for?
I've been singing in church since I was a kid. When I got to college, I went to UMKC. I got a degree in vocal performance from UMKC. And I wanted to be a contemporary Christian artist because, man, Larnell Harris, Steve Green, there's a lot of older art, the Gaithers.
Yeah.
I loved them growing up. And so, but when I got there was a gentleman named Michael Johnson, who was the director of operas. He goes, Matt, you got too good a voice to be a contemporary Christian singer. You got to sing opera. And he had this deep Southern voice. And so I started singing opera.
How cool is that?
That's how it began.
Yeah. Man, that is, yeah. And
well,
so
what stunk about that is I didn't grow up with opera.
Yeah.
So I'm here in the university.
That's what I was just going to ask.
I'm trying to figure out, this stuff. People are asking me, what do you think about this? So, hey, what do you think about that? Or who's your favorite singer? I'm like, Bugs Bunny, Elmer Fudd. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, she dances all day long. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. It's Leopold. But anyhow, that's the only opera I was ever exposed to. So it took me a long time to kind of figure this out. And, that's probably why I didn't really become a traveling professional and I just do it locally. It is just because, I just happen to have the voice for it. But I didn't really have the drive to really get out there and do it all the time.
So where do you perform at here again?
I sing often with the Lyric Opera of Kansas City. Opera. Usually once a year. I'll have an opportunity to sing with them. And like I said, they're just a great organization from top to bottom. And they bring in some of the best voices in the world right here to Kansas City. And that opera house that I'm referring to is one of the top opera houses in the world. We have right here in Kansas City.
Oh, yeah. And you talked a little bit about your, kind of tuning in your voice. Yeah. How long did that take? Because, you were, I know you said you were studying, coach. And,
it's allergy season, by the way.
No, you're good. You're good.
So, it took a while. I have to listen. I have a very trained ear. Sorry about that.
You're all good, man.
Otherwise, I'm going to sneeze. And we don't want to blow away the camera. So, he's got a little higher pitched voice than I do. He kind of speaks a little bit quiet. He kind of gets this look. And,
that's pretty good.
He almost like he's taking a breath between every word. Yeah. Like he just had 10 cheeseburgers in his belly. And so, you look at him and you can always tell when he's feeling good in a press conference, but when he's not, you see that look. And remember last year with the, next question. That was a dumb question. I know you're shocked. And so I use little bits from everything. I watch his press conferences and things like that, and I'll use little bits. And the hardest thing for me is keeping up with his wardrobe. Holy moly, I've had to buy a lot of wardrobe.
A lot of Hawaiian shirts, I bet.
Yeah. In fact, my first Hawaiian shirt, I always wore Hawaiian shirts because that's a big man thing. It's not necessarily an Andy Reid. They're just comfortable for us with big bellies. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. So my first couple of Tommy Bahamas were gifts to me from Eric Stone Street.
Oh, that's super cool.
That was, he's like I said, everybody I've come in contact are just the coolest people. And he had me do a little bit with him up at training camp. And he just threw me a couple of shirts. And I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? And, the Chiefs dressed me up a little bit because we were doing a training camp little video there, having a little fun. And, so yeah, I wear a lot of Tommy Bahamas. And sometimes I can find him in department stores. But when he changes, even his glasses, I have to watch because sometimes he'll use a rimmed glass, and most of the times he's wearing these glasses right here. And I don't wear glasses. So I only wear reading glasses. So I have to make sure they're at a level that when I'm looking at you, I can see when I'm. So if I get them too strong, I can't see anything.
Yes.
And I have face planted wearing those glasses before, so I have to be really careful.
Yeah. So are you planning on going to training camp this year too?
Oh, yeah. I love getting up to their training camp. Last year I went, I didn't get to see him at all. Didn't get to see him play at all because as soon as I walked in, I had my Hawaiian shirt on. I can't remember. Maybe I did dress like him that day, but gosh, I had so many people coming up, kids for autographs, and I'll tell them, I'm almost Andy. You still want me to say, yeah, I know who you are, so now they've kind of figured it out. And so I keep them busy there, and I'm sure the security's kind of watching, going, what's going on over there? I see a riot. Is there a cheeseburger stand? Because I see Coach.
So I'm sure your daily life is just you being mixed up all day, every day.
I'm telling you, you can ask my wife. I spend a couple hours a night usually doing videos because I'm pretty popular on the app called Cameo.
Yeah, Cameo.
Yeah. So if you go to cameo.com/almost Andy Reid, you can book me for. I'm very popular, especially for fantasy football.
Yes.
So people like to have me draw their names and do the announcement there for their fantasy football leagues, or they'll ask me to do a roast. It's not going to be a Tom Brady roast, believe me. I try and keep in character, but I like to have fun. I like to get people laughing, and I try and stay current with my material because that way it feels more natural. And so I never know what I'm going to say. I never pre-plan any videos that I do, and so I just kind of go with it.
Yeah. So what's life been like? Just like since this whirlwind of just like it seems like it's been going awesome. And
it is. It's great. I love it. I've only had a couple of people that got mad at me when they found out I wasn't Andy Reid, even though I tell them I'm not Andy Reid. I'm pretty open about that.
Yeah.
They get starstruck and they can't really get their minds off of the fact that you're not Andy. And then when they really figure it out, they're like, oh, why would you do that? Well, guess
I'm not trying to fool you.
Yeah,
here.
because it's helping out my family.
Yeah.
So it has been great. I just today, driving here, a guy slowing down with his camera. It happens all the time, recording me, and of course I wave at him, and I saw him slowing down, so I knew exactly what was going to happen. So I threw one of my rings on and wave out the window, and I've been one place where a guy drove off the road up on a sidewalk because he saw me standing making a video, and so. It's just been a lot of fun.
Well, that shows you the love of Kansas City, of what they have for their sports teams.
And that's what makes us special. And that's why the world hates us, because they can't be us.
That's damn
you
right.
Can't fake what we have here in Kansas City. You just can't do it. I mean, the people here are phenomenal. Even people who are higher up, who do things. They're pretty cool people.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I just haven't had a bad experience yet. It's just been a great time.
So you said recently you went out to Denver, right?
Yeah.
To do a golf tournament. With
I was
Neil.
just out there this past weekend. And, I go out to golf courses. I'm not a great golfer. I used to be a pretty decent golfer. But I'm out there with Neil Smith. I'm out there. I don't know if you remember Roland, the big wrestler who won the Olympics, big guy.
I know you're talking about. Yeah.
He was there golfing. Several Denver Broncos were there golfing. And we just had a great time. They brought me out there of course, because being in Denver and having coach there, that's funny.
That is pretty funny.
And in fact, before I left, I made sure on my putter grip, I bought you can do this. You can go to Amazon and you can buy some Chiefs grips. And so I put a new grip on my putter that had a nice big Kansas City on it, and had a great time.
Denver players love that too.
Oh, yeah. Had a great time. They were all fantastic, good sports. I hit a few good drives. We used my ball a couple times. It was a best ball tournament.
Yeah.
And but
That's
mostly, awesome. It was a lot of fun. I don't drink. And so to be around people who are golfing, my game always gets a little better.
Yeah, it gets better.
And theirs gets a little worse as we go along. So I like that part of it.
Yes.
And I like the meal at the end. We had big cheeseburgers at the end. So, hey, that's a great deal.
That's a good deal.
Yeah.
So with Coach, you guys, like I said, everyone can tell you guys are doppelgangers. But I guess, let's say he loses like 50 pounds. Like, you're going to have to just keep up with him?
No, I'll tell you, I'm going to start sending cheeseburgers to his office. I noticed this year he started losing a little bit, so I went on a diet. And I'm telling you, I am not kidding you. You could ask my wife. I would buy a couple pounds of broccoli and ask my work, and I'd eat it during the day. Of course, I'd have to have a little ranch so I could dip the broccoli in. But I like broccoli.
Yeah.
And, man, I'm telling you what, I was frustrated because he kept looking every time I'd see him on TV like he was losing some weight. And so, I'm just going to have to send him the presidential platter from Gates and
just
say,
keep
Coach,
sending him.
Yeah, you're killing me here.
So is there anything on your bucket list that you kind of still want to do? Like, 'cause I know you've got to do a lot of cool things, but there's something like, man, I really, I want to get this crossed off. And
I never think that far ahead. I really don't, because I have to stay in the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm so busy, and thank goodness I've got a great talent agency that I'm with. And I've had a lot of good people around me. The Supervans have been so nice and helpful, kind of teaching me some of the ropes of okay, go here, and they know where all the camera shots are at Arrowhead. I mean, they know those camera shots, and they've had some really. I just been really blessed.
That's
and
awesome.
My work's been flexible, and my numbers are good at work, so I'm good there. So thank goodness.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they're probably using you too. Like, hey, look who we got.
Yeah, well, they don't know exactly what to do with me, I think, because I work for a hyaluronic acid company here in town where we do skincare. How am I going to help sell skincare? I mean, come on. I'm using cheeseburger grease on my skin. That's what the shine comes from. But no, it's a great company here in town, and it's a local Kansas City company.
Awesome.
I'm blessed to be there as well.
Yeah.
Great ownership, great people to work with, and just another opportunity to represent Kansas City.
Yeah. So I know the season's about to start. How many games do you make it to, like, during the season? Do you get to go to all of them, or?
I try and go to all of them. Last year, I got really sick. I went to the Thursday night game. Was it?
I think we played
Buffalo,
Denver, right?
It was Denver. And I got some type of pneumonia.
Oh, geez.
And so for 2 months, I was really, really sick. And so it was really hard for me last season to get out there, even though I did.
Yeah.
Because I'm just that kind of weird person. When I dedicated to something, I do it no matter what. But it took me a long time to get over that. And thank goodness by the time the Super Bowl came around, I was feeling pretty good again.
Good. So do you, are you sitting in the same spot each time, or you just they move you around?
No, I've been blessed to be gifted tickets with folks.
That's awesome.
And there's people who have some suites who like me to come in and take pictures with their clients. So I guess, meeting Taylor Swift, that'd be kind of a thing coming.
There you go. Yeah.
I think she's a pretty cool person too. And I think having all the Swifties and, that love the Kansas City Chiefs, just just chill out every once in a while, Travis, he's doing a great job with Taylor. And I know that the Swifties, they watch everything. They watch every move, and
and he can do no wrong.
Yeah,
he's better be on the straight and narrow.
He's a football player, and I think he's done a pretty doggone good job with being who he is with her.
Yeah,
and she's done the same. I mean, to come to these games, come on, man.
Yeah,
that's pretty doggone cool when you got the biggest star in the world.
Yeah, coming to Kansas City watching the game. It's like a power couple that we're watching, which is awesome.
We're not so weird about it, than those people in the suites with binoculars trying to see what's going on over there. It's just like, we're there to watch football. Mm-hmm. We're there to watch Kansas City Chiefs. As Neil Smith said this last week, sacred ground. Arrowhead is sacred ground.
Sure is.
And, I believe that. There's something special about that area, and I sure hope that we're able to keep the stadium there, even if we build a new one. There's just something special about that area, not just because of the players, Mahomes, just the history and, the people that go there. I mean, this isn't a super affluent town, as has been seen by all of us who had our property taxes doubled. Thanks, Frank White, for that one. So people sacrifice a lot to be a very good sports town here in Kansas City.
Yeah.
And you got to take your hats off to them for that.
Yeah. So, Coach, what's your prediction for this season?
Hey, man, I'll tell you what. The way that Patrick has been working with these wide receivers this offseason, you watch OTAs, and there's not a lot of questions coming in. I mean, which is a really cool thing.
Yeah.
I think that they are more focused than ever. And as long as the injury bug stays away, I think that this is an opportunity to do something no other NFL team has ever been able to do. I mean, Denver tried it. Yeah. Neil Smith, I was talking to him about it. I mean, they had the chance to do a three-peat, and they weren't able to do it.
Yeah.
Teams have tried. But I just really believe with this organization, with the players that we have, with the attitude that we have, with the fans that we have, with the city that we're in, I think we got all the things barbecue.
Yeah.
Cheeseburgers, Town Topic. Oh, man, I love a good Town Topic cheeseburger,
awesome.
Baby.
Especially like 3 a.m.
That's right. That's where Cardi B goes when she's here in town. So, we've just got a great combination of lots of good things here in Kansas City, and that good vibe, I think, is going to push us over the edge. And having Patrick Mahomes, the greatest quarterback
ever.
I'm sorry, ever.
Sorry, Brady.
Yeah, I mean, Brady's right now the greatest ever, but when you look at Patrick's stats building up to where Tom Brady is or was, I mean, Patrick, if he keeps this up, there's just no stopping
There's no stopping him.
No stopping him. And so, this is just a really – Clinton Portis, he was there at the golf tournament.
Was he really?
Yeah. So, But anyhow, we've got a lot of special good vibes here in Kansas City, and so I feel really good that we have a chance and opportunity to three-peat. So I'll see y'all down in New Orleans. And, so we'll have to call this the Gumbo Bowl.
There we go. Well, my friend, it has been a pleasure. I am super excited you got to come on and talk to me.
Thanks for
And I got to check out an opera, and we got live music in here every Friday.
That's right.
We got live jazz, so you got to come down.
I'm going to have to try my first stogie sometime,
Yeah. If you want to tell everybody, like, kind of give shout outs to, like, I guess your social and Cameo again.
You can find me anywhere as Almost Andy Reid. If you want me to come and do something special for your organization or company, you can reach out to the Moxie Talent Agency. I've got them tagged on all of my social media. If you want me to do a special birthday shout out or sing a special song to your girl or fantasy football league, I'll give you a nice roast. Although mine's going to have potatoes and carrots involved in it. You can reach me on cameo.com/almost Andy Reid. And I promise you can look at my ratings. I'll give it my best shot, and you'll love the experience.
It's awesome to hear. My friend, It's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
And I
Yep,
can't
it's been
wait
my
to
pleasure.
see all the good things that are happen to you in the future, man. It's been great.
Hey, man, I'll tell you, we just live one day at a time, and we just take the good as it comes.
Yes. Good to see. Thank you guys for tuning in, and check us out next week, and we are out.
Goodbye, everybody.